Welcome to Resisting Beta, the men's health podcast. And now, your host, Andrew Bonce. All right, man, welcome to another episode of the Resisting Beta podcast. I am Andrew Bonce, and I'm here with Adam Lyons. And we are going to talk about some exciting topics around dating and relationships. And here are a few of the questions that I had after looking at Adam on the internet and doing some digital stalking and figuring out what some of his content is out there. Here are some of the questions that came to my mind that we'll get to today. So, how can you be more attractive to your partner across all the various human senses? And that second part, I think, is super interesting. I haven't heard that component before. I'm really curious about how do you bounce back after a divorce and learn to date in the right way again, and especially if you're in your 30s and 40s and later, because a lot of the dating coaches I found were kind of preaching messaging towards what I would have liked to hear when I was in my 20s. You know, just like, here's what you have to do to get laid a bunch, which, I mean, I think is neat, but, you know, I'd like a little bit more depth than that, right? And then another topic I saw, a question he mentioned was, how do you get women to chase you? Which I think is super intriguing. So, Adam, thank you so much for being here. Appreciate it.
Hey, thank you so much for having me. I appreciate it, and looking forward to help. Yeah, some good ones.
Yes. Yeah. And a little bit about Adam. He was the number one dating coach in the world three times. Yeah.
Yeah, it was back. They used to have this summit that went on every year. It's like a dating coach summit. And they would invite people to take part. You could, pay to learn. And it'd be like 30 different dating coaches there. But there was an online website and people could vote in for who they wanted to be number one in the world. And I came third the first time, second the second time, and then I won it 3 years in a row. I became number one. So,
and you've been in the dating coaching game for 17 years?
Yeah, coming up to 18 now. So,
holy cow, that's crazy, man. And the one thing I really like about you is when I first saw you at a conference in September, you were wearing a Dungeons and Dragons t-shirt, and he celebrates his nerdiness, which I appreciate because I played video games growing up and I still play board games. I played Magic cards. He's got his t-shirt game is super strong.
You get this reference? I don't know if you get this one. This is Santa Carla. That's from Lost Boys. That's my Lost Boys.
Okay. I missed that reference, man.
Yeah.
So I love just how you just live authentically yourself. So I'm really kind of curious on that journey from the kind of nerdy vibe to the dating expert vibe. I know I heard you tell this story in other podcasts before, but I think it'd be helpful for the men to hear just a little bit of a brief transformation story there.
Yeah. So, it's funny because I know like your mission and it's kind of aligned with my story. I was voted least likely to ever get a girlfriend at school. I was bullied extensively. In fact, I wasn't allowed to join the Dungeons and Dragons club because they were worried that they would get picked on too much if I was. So I was allowed to watch. I had to like sit off to the side and watch. Life sucked, and it never really got better. I got a girlfriend. I had a few girlfriends. I used to say like, I was lucky to get them, and they weren't. Nowadays, thinking about the quality of woman, I'm not talking about physical looks, but just quality. I was not dating the kind of people I date nowadays, and my last relationship before I got into dating, she was cheating on me, and I knew about it, and I didn't want to do anything because I was worried I'd be single. So I was happier staying with her while she was sleeping with another guy and turning a blind eye to it because I didn't want to be single. And I thought there was another option, and it's not like we were having sex. Like she basically just used me for a home. It was bad. It was all bad. And one day I kind of like, I suppose I found like self-confidence. I got a life, And I said to her, I was like, I was tired of her arguing with me. And I was like, in my head, I was like, she's sleeping with somebody else. I'm not sleeping with her. I'm paying for everything. The least she can do is not argue, So I said to her, if you start a fight with me in the next 24 hours, I'm going to break up with you. And she was like, you're never going to break up. And she started a fight over that. And that was it. I dumped her there and then. And I went to work the next day. And when I came home, her and her boyfriend had gone to my place. And my roommate let her in. And they stole everything.
Oh,
PlayStation, TV. She took my shower curtain, like everything. And I was done, like just done. My roommate moved in with his girlfriend, and I'm suddenly in a home alone, no girlfriend, nothing. And I I like start making a checklist. Like I'm on the way out. Like I'm done. Like I'm over life. I was working as a janitor. I was just it was over. And I started finishing things. Like everything I hadn't finished, I was finishing. Like eating all the food in the house. Like I was. It was like this, and I think like knowing what I know about depression and suicide, and I looked into it extensively. I was pretending that everything was okay, but I was winding things down, closing
hmm.
things off. And that's how I knew I was serious. Like this was it. This was happening, and I'd worked out the method. I knew how I was going to do it, and I'd got all the components, and I was just done. And there was a book I hadn't finished reading. I hadn't even started it, and it was a gift from a friend. And I'd contemplated not reading it, but there was like this open loop in my mind that my friend had said to me, you need to read this book. And he said, you need to read it. He's like, this book was meant for you. And it kind of like left this open loop. And I was like, it was one of the only things I had left was she took my bookcase, but left my books on the floor. So I had like a bunch of books that she didn't want. So there was this one book that I hadn't read. I'd read every other book in my library, my bookcase, except this one. I have a library now, but my bookcase. And so I read the book, and the book was The Game by Neil Strause. And I have two copies of it in my library. One of them is that book, and the other one is a gift that Neil Strauss gave me himself. He signed it when I helped him with some stuff many years later, which was a really key moment for me, getting to help the person that essentially saved my life. And halfway through the book, I decided there's no point reading it if you don't action it. It became another open loop in my mind. So I went from basically closing loops to now I had two. And I went out and I basically decided I was going to try everything in the book. And I knew I was going to end my life that night. So it was, if this doesn't work, I'll just end my life. If it works, I'll keep reading the book and see what happens. And I went out that night, and work was complicated. It didn't work. I didn't get a girlfriend. I didn't get make out. I didn't get laid. But I had fun. I had fun for the first time in a long time. And so I decided I'd go out tomorrow night. And every night it was a case of, I'll just do it tomorrow. Tomorrow's the day I'll take my life if it isn't a good day.
Hmm.
And I just had a string of good days. And the more I used what I learned in the book, the better my days got. Now, the next thing that happened was I realized that style of dating was creepy and I didn't like it. And so it was working, but I didn't like what they suggested you do. So that's when I started testing stuff. And I was like, well, what if the concept was good, but the execution was wrong? And so I started altering it. And this is when I got really obsessed with understanding humans and decision making. So I stood on the corner in London at Piccadilly Circus, and I was there for 8 hours a day, 7 days a week, just standing there, talking to every beautiful woman, testing what works and what doesn't.
Wow.
And I got a reputation. Like people knew me, and it got to a point I'd go to the bars, and guys would walk in the club and follow me because I got good. Like I would talk to a woman and take her home, talk to another woman the next day, take her home. And people were watching it. They saw it. And then FHM magazine, For Him magazine in the UK, it's like a guy's mag, wanted to do a story about me because they'd heard about this guy that could meet any woman. And they came out to debunk it. And the journalist they sent watched me pick up 5 different women in 5 nights and take them home. And they went, as weird, geeky, nerdy, awkward as Adam is, there's one thing you can't deny, and that's he's wading in more pussy than the average guy. And that was like the headline, and then they sent Channel 4, it's a TV documentary. They came to film me and do a documentary about me because, again, they didn't believe it. And they came, again, to disprove it. And they followed me, and I got invited to Hollywood to speak at this dating conference. And I got voted number 3 in the world. And from there, that was it, really. Like, after that, like, I became the guy. Like, everyone wanted to know me. It's funny. I was actually I was actually awake early this morning because I've been traveling a lot recently. And I've got a note I found from Neil Strause. I found it this morning. He sent it to me in 2011. And it says, just so you know, I mentioned with credit to you your ACE concept on a teleconference. It's a great breakdown. And so that message, a small little message between friends at this point, but he was like crediting my dating formula. I invented a formula, and Neil was blown away by how good it was. And that was such a big moment for me because he was my idol in dating, and he'd validated that what I had discovered was I suppose, like I said, the core foundation of why the dating stuff worked. And you didn't need to do it with weird lines or funny hats or magic. You could just condense it down to the key components that actually made you more attractive. And they're not, you know, making lots of money or, you know, having a perfect body. It doesn't mean you shouldn't look after yourself, which is a separate piece. It's one of the components, but you don't have to be perfect, you know. And that was a huge turnaround. And so for me, after that, yeah, I got ridiculously good. I got the cheerleader girlfriend. I moved to America, and yeah, and then enter new chapters of my life. But
Yeah. You know, I mean, you said you had like 16 different companies and it's just one of them. So,
yeah, at this point, life's different. You know, we're going back, like I said, 18 years, right? So now, and that all happened within the first 3 years. So 15 years later, I'm now in mergers and acquisitions. I invest and grow companies. I have 16 different companies of my own, not counting the 1,900 plus companies I've consulted for in the last 3 years. Now life's very different, but I will never get rid of my dating company ever because it works and we still help men all day, every day, find love and, you know, improve how attractive they are, and we actually get them results. So I can't get rid of it.
I remember when I went through my divorce, and I had been with the same woman basically since I was we started dating like a sophomore in college or something like that. And I didn't date at all in high school. All right. I had like some girlfriends where we like held hands. Yeah. And I think my first kiss was when a woman kissed me. I was a senior. She was a freshman. And she like shoved her tongue down my throat. And I was like, whoa, that was awesome. So having to like reinvent yourself now I guess I was 38 at the time. Like how, I remember when I was starting to look at YouTube channels and talk to dating coaches, and a lot of the messaging was just, I mean, I talk about kind of like the trying to just get laid. And I think that is attractive to me when I was in my 20s, maybe, but like in my late 30s, it's like, okay, well, sure. I mean, those basics needs, I can figure that out. But what if I want more? You know, what's the next level of depth to that? And that was one thing when I was talking to Eve at that conference, that she said, you know, that's what we do. We talk about that more. So can you shine a little bit of light on what she meant by that? And for the men listening,
I could go on forever, but we basically worked out a formula for attraction, and it can go as wide or as deep as you want because it covers everything from physical attractiveness right down to biochemistry, which is also important. And most people don't even touch on it. A good example is I got in an argument with a dating coach on their podcast the other day, because at this point, I don't care about the industry at all. I want to help guys. I don't care about the dating industry. I don't care what you think about me, right? Because that's not my moneymaker. So I do it just because it's fun. But this guy's like, you know, yeah, like, you know, sometimes I talk to a guy and I'm like, your vocal tone's wrong. And I was like, please tell me you don't ever just finish a sentence with your vocal tone's wrong. And he's like, what do you mean? I was like, you're just going to say to someone something's wrong. He's like, no, I tell him I've got to fix it. I was like, you tell him how? And he goes, well, no, you just got to get a better vocal tone. I'm like, dude, do you ever think that maybe it's their posture? Maybe they should get some Alexander technique? Do you talk to them about the fact that maybe they're framing their diaphragm wrong? Have you told them that maybe they need to look into their vocal cords so they have damage from when they were younger? You don't actually break down the specific causes that could be an issue with their vocal tone? And he's like, I never thought of it like that. I was like, and you're teaching? And the reason I'm saying this is because that's how in depth we go into it. We look at everything, you know, and it's cool because we don't make every guy do everything because most guys don't need to. We just we look at them, we can say, okay, you're missing these things, and then we fix it. But the core of what we teach is the ACE formula, which is what Neil was saying is so good. And the ACE formula just says that there are 3 basic things every male needs to be naturally attractive. If you have all 3, you're attractive. If you have 2, you're not attractive, or not as attractive as you could be. If you have 1, you're struggling. And if you have 0, well, that's going to be really bad. And the 3 things are abundance, confidence, and the ability to escalate. So we also define confidence, because another frustration I have is that no one defines confidence, and we do. And it irritates me that people go, just be confident. I'm like, the fuck is confidence? So I'll tell you what it is. Abundance is a lifestyle where a lot of your friends, or you have a lot of friends, who are women you would be attracted to. That's number 1. You have that, not a woman. That's how you get stuck in the friend zone. You have to have like 4, 5, 6 women who are all beautiful that you're attracted to, and they're friends. This just makes it so that beautiful women are normal to you. That's all we're doing. That's the norm. And these are friends. These aren't people you're sleeping with. They're just friends. So when you go out and it's like Christmas and you're looking for someone to hang out with, you can text your 6 beautiful friend buddies and you can all go out Christmas shopping together. And someone sees you walking down the street with 6 beautiful women that you would never hit on because they're your friends. And everyone's like, damn, look at that guy. He must be fucking all of them. Because that's what people think. It's not what's happening, but it's what they think, because men are wired to think that way. And so are the women. So the other beautiful women that see you out with this entourage are going to be like, damn, who's that guy? Maybe I need to know him too. And that's the one you'll date. The one that sees you with the women is like, who is this guy? And that's what you want. So that's the first part. And we teach how to do that step by step. That's aceformula.com. That's our website. Confidence is experience. And the way I explain this is the first time you drove a car, you shit yourself. I don't care who you are. You're nervous, like, okay, 10 and 2, like, where's the gear stick? Like you're freaking out. So I learned on a manual. I'm aware most Americans don't, but like, it's like, what does this do? What, there's 3 pedals? It's like, it's complicated. And then when you've done it 1,000 times, it's like, oh yeah, I don't even need to look. I can eat a pizza while I'm driving and be on my phone at the same time and, maybe put on my makeup or whatever, like, what chicks do. I don't know how they do it. But the point is, you get so confident, and that confidence comes from practice. So it's not practice makes perfect, it's practice makes confident. So now we know that. Now it's really easy, because our goal is to make sure you have as much confidence or experience at talking to beautiful women as possible. Now it's easy because you've got 6 beautiful friends, but also you're now making a point of talking to new women. You're not just relying on these 6. But every new woman after my core group, these are people I can date, right? Because these are the new ones. And you want to be dating them. You don't just want to keep building that group forever. You want to make sure you're actually dating people until you find the one that you like. And because your standards are now so high because of who you're used to interacting with, everything's good. And it gets better because the women that are your friends in your life, when you start talking to a girl and they might be like, and this happens, one of your friends will be like, oh, she's out of your league. At which point, don't accept it. Be like, do you mean she's out of my league? Am I ugly? And then put your friend, she's a friend, in the position of being, well, and they'll be like, what do I have to do to not be ugly? And now you're going to get real feedback from a beautiful woman. She says, well, I'd like to see you. And they will give you a freaking makeover. And that's what you want. You want to be like, I'd like to see you put on some muscle. I'd like to see you trim your beard. I'd like to see you, get rid of your toupee. Because guys have this stuff and think it, like, let her design you. And when a hot woman designs you, you look better. Like, I'll let you into a secret. I had a double chin. I couldn't get rid of it. No matter how much I worked out, I had a double chin, always. And one of my girlfriends was like, you ever thought about just freezing it off? What do you mean freeze it off? She's like, yeah, $3,000, they'll freeze it off. I'm like, that's a thing? And she goes, that's a thing. And so I go to my doctor. I'm like, hey, my girlfriend said that I can freeze off my chin. And the doctor laughed and went, yep, that's a thing. I was like, is it $3,000? He's like, it's $299.99. I'm like, done, freeze it off. And so I had to do 2 sessions, and they put like a giant sucky ice machine under your neck, and they suck out the fat. It's crazy. Or freeze it off. I don't know what they do, but they get rid of it. And then I didn't have a double chin anymore. I mean, I've still got a bit of one, but not as much. And they said, we can do it again if you want. And I don't want to spend $3,000 again. Maybe I will one day, but I figured I'd wait a bit longer, because you can only do it twice. Apparently you can't do it a third time. So Crazy, but I would never have done that if a hot chick hadn't said to me, freeze it off. Because she said to me, she goes, yeah, I used to have when I froze it off. I'm like, "God, that's what beautiful women do. They know these tricks. You know, you don't have to work out. You just zap it off with a freezer. It's great." So that's the second thing, is the confidence, right? And then, of course, once I got rid of the double chin, I felt more confident. Yeah. And it's funny, I was actually already good with women before that, but it just helps in general. And then the last one is you got to know how to escalate. You got to know how to turn a woman on with words. And most guys don't. Most guys struggle. And if you just do the first two, you're like the gay best friend. Like, everyone loves you and everyone thinks you know. So like you gotta escalate. And most of the time, escalating is just about announcing a fact. So rather than saying, I think you're hot, I think you're beautiful, when are we gonna date? You say stuff like, you know you're gorgeous, right? Like, you know you're fucking hot. Those phrases. You talk to a woman like that, and she's like, excuse me? I was like, you heard me. You are fucking hot. Like, and you know, sometimes you'll say this in the context of, you know, there's some other guy that treated her like shit who she was dating, and, you know, they're on a breakup. And you're like, you know, that guy's a fucking idiot. You're stunning. Like, you are beautiful. But I'm not saying you should get with me now, or I want you. It's not about me. I'm saying it like it's a fact. And that's the kind of thing that will get the woman to be like, well, would you want to date me? And then you can be funny, because you got to be funny with it. And be like, I don't know. If he broke up with you, something's got to be wrong with you. You know? And then she's like, what do you mean? And I was like, I don't know. I'm just saying, you're hot. Why would someone break up with you? I assume you're good in bed. Maybe you're not. Maybe you used to be a man. I don't know. Until you tell me, I don't know. And she's like, I didn't used to be a man. I was like, I don't know. That's my point. Share it with me and tell me, because I'm trying to work out. You seem hot. I assume you got a golden pussy, but I don't understand why this guy would rather run away into the arms of an ugly chick instead of being with you. Something's wrong. Unless he's crazy. And then she goes, he is crazy. Let me tell you. And she'll go on. I was like, listen, all right. Clearly, we're not going to solve this right now in a discussion. I propose you take me on a date. Show me what you would do on a date, and let me assess for myself what, you know, what this. And she's like, are you telling me I have to take you on a date? I was like, no, I'm proposing for this experiment. You could take me on a date if you want, you know, and maybe I'll split the bill with you. Maybe, you know, I know this is a modern world. I kind of insist I at least pay half. Yeah, and they'll laugh because you're playing the role of being the hot chick that's trying to help her with her dating life, right? But like, she'll be all over it. And they love that. They love it when you take the role of the hot girl and you're not playing the role of the desperate guy. And that's what they will want. They want the best guy they can get. And being the best guy is often just acting like the best guy, not actually being the best guy.
You brought me back to like 2000, man. I bought this Double Your Dating by David D'Angelo.
Evan Pagan. Yep.
That was like the third one, like those conversations and that witty banter and stuff that I was just fascinated by when I was, you know, this 19-year-old kid that was terrified of talking to women.
And that was one of the programs that messed people up, because it was being witty for the sake of it. You don't want to be witty for the sake of it. And that's what I learned when I understand the concepts. They like humor, but being witty for the sake of it isn't key. The humor should be around the irony of you being the hot girl. And, you know, like, for example, if I want to talk to like the hottest girl in a room, I'll often be talking to another girl who's hot, or another woman who's hot, and I'll look at the hottest one and I'll mouth the words, save me. And then I'll run across the room to the one I want and be like, oh my God, can you just pretend you know me? That girl, I swear, I don't know what's wrong with her. I'm concerned she tried to roofie my drink. I just want to, she's like, seriously? I was like, no, I don't think so. I don't think she's that smart. But like, she was talking a lot, and I feel like she was trying to numb me into a state of hypnosis where I would, you know, go back with her or whatever it was that she was trying to achieve. Either way, can you save me? You seem like a good person. I'll buy you a drink. And now you get it. Because it's funny. It's funny, the idea that a woman is being the aggressive. And it's cool because like someone would be like, oh, you totally trolled or tooled that other girl to get what you wanted. I was like, I see women do that to guys all day, every day. Do not pretend like you're innocent. Don't pretend like you're not a woman that didn't go into a bar one day and go, let's pretend to be gay. Like, we all know you play those games, you know, and if you didn't, your best friend did. So no, we're playing the game back. Don't pretend to be innocent in this game that we all play. We're playing. We're
So,
kids.
have you ever read Rollo Tomasi's stuff, The Rational Male, and his books?
No.
Okay. Well, he talks a lot about kind of like sexual market value and how like men are the prize, and men as they reach their late 30s are in their prime of sorts.
Yep.
And like the red pill movement.
Yep.
And
I'm well aware of the red pill movement. I was there. I got to see it form. I was there before it formed and watched it form.
so that was like there's another guy called Entrepreneurs in Cars, where he talked about like how his big thing that kind of struck me was he does not date single moms, right? Like, and that was an interesting concept. So I'm just kind of like throwing different concepts at you, because as I would like dove down the YouTube world of all the things that kind of rose to the top, and I spent, I don't know, hundreds of hours watching these YouTube videos and just kind of plucking different pieces of like, I like that. That sounds like bullshit. That makes me look like a douche, like.
So I'll summarize it. Dating goes in a circle. It starts with you have to be rich, good looking, and metro to attract women, right? And we can look at Humphrey Bogart, and we can look at sort of like those older icons. And then somebody comes up with, no, you don't have to be like that. You can instead appeal to a woman on an emotional level. Because it's once one thing becomes saturated, something else is attractive. And as humans, we swing from physical, material attractive to intellectual, emotional attractive. So we ended up in the 70s, 80s, we got speed seduction, which was all about hypnotic patterns, NLP, and using that for attraction. And then after that, as we get into the 90s, it went away again, and we got into this guys with oiled bodies and Baywatch, and we got this like you had to be rich and good looking again. And then as we got into the early 2000s, we moved into the pickup industry, and you could wear a funny hat and use magic, which is a different form of hypnosis, and NLP again. And now we're back at you have to be ripped and good looking. And we have like these other podcasts that focus on that and the whole red pill movement. And this is like kind of what they think. And like, the reality is we're about to move into the other way again, because when everybody focuses on this, it will go the other way. It will be a new form of NLP. And, it probably won't be called pickup this time around in the same way that it wasn't called, seduction last time. It went seduction first round, then pickup. Now it'll be called something else the next time it comes around, but it will come around again as women are tired of the macho good looking guy, and they want someone who's emotionally connecting and smart and, excites them on a different level. And then after they get tired of that and they think that that's manipulative, they'll go the other way again. That's the cycle. We've seen it time and time again. So that's what's going on. And we're about to hit it now. It's about to swing the other way. People are going to be tired of, chads, fuckboys, douchey guys. and the smart intellectual that knows how to talk is going to be the one that gets her.
Yeah. I mean, it's interesting because even like you're seeing like the Andrew Tates and the on one side of the spectrum and Jordan Peterson on the other side of the spectrum of kind of the masculine pendulum and what's happening on social media, and like kind of calling women on their bullshit a little bit, and calling some of it out a bit, but I don't know if it's just to shock value, so they get a bunch of likes and comments and engagement.
Dude,
and all of a sudden he's some celebrity.
Yeah, that's exactly what it is. Like, here's the thing: don't generalize women as a species. It's people, individual people. Look, anyone who says all women this, all men this, they're trying to get heard, trying to be controversial. They want you to talk. No, that's not how it is. It's not about women. It's a woman. Like,
right.
Like I date multiple women, and my primary partner, we've been together 10 years next year. We're getting married. And, we bring other women into the bedroom, and she is a strong business owning, financially makes 7 figures a year herself without me, owns her own properties, investment properties that are hers. She's the mother of 2 of my kids. She's incredibly attractive. I can take a picture of her, post it online, and most guys are going to be like, damn, that's a 10. Like even now, and she's, still young 30s. We met when she was like young 20s. And she works out and she does martial arts and she plays video games and she watches anime. I mean, she's like my perfect woman in every single way, right? And she's Republican. She believes that women should have autonomy over their bodies. She hates feminists, but she hates it when men mansplain and cut her off when she's talking. And you can't put her in a box, is what I'm saying. She doesn't fit. Is she the hot model that wears underwear, or is she the anime nerd that reads comic books? Is she the Republican that believes in shooting guns, which she does, or is she the strong feminist that believes a woman should be able to make money and grow her own business and doesn't want a man talking down to her? No, she's just her. And she's awesome. And when you get into dating, you realize that everyone's different, and stop generalizing and look for people for who they are. And everyone's a little bit of this and a little bit of that, and find out what you like and what are your non-negotiables, and enjoy it.
Man, I got so many questions for you. So,
yeah, it's like this is my subject. I mean, like I'm
I love
business. I'm good at mergers and acquisitions, but there's nothing about dating I don't know.
Yeah, and marketing and all that stuff. I love it.
Yeah.
So I must have stumbled into the abundance and confidence stuff because struggling in that scarcity mindset was a huge thing for me. And then when I was able to switch off from mainly listening to like a guy named Dr. Robert Glover, the normal Mr. Nice Guy. And then one thing I really liked you said is the practice component. So I love that stuff. But before we go there, you said finding hot women to be your friends.
Yeah.
And that's an interesting topic because I've heard men say that men cannot have female friends. And I'm curious what you have to say about that.
Yeah, what they mean is they want to sleep with them.
Yeah, well, because men want to sleep with anything that's super attractive, right? Like,
yeah,
how can you?
It's yes and right. Desperate men that don't know how to get laid want to sleep with everything.
Right.
If you meet any guy who slept with over 1,000 women, any guy, they don't talk like that. Guys who have slept with over 1,000, just go and ask a porn star. Go and ask a guy who's actually slept with over 1,000 women, and their attitude changes. They end up saying, "Pussy's pussy." And at this point, once they've had everyone, they get very selective. And they don't want the drama associated with a new woman. And as someone who's slept with over 1,000 women myself, I can tell you that's very real. When I look at a beautiful woman, I don't think, oh, I got to get this one. I'm not trying to rack up some kind of weird score. I got 5 kids. I've had a vasectomy. I'm not interested in just having sex with somebody for the sake of having sex with somebody. Men that have not had a lot of women are the ones that are like, no, I can't be friends with a woman. Men who have had their fill are, and it's funny because every guy that's like, that's not how it is. I've had a lot of women and I still want to. I'm like, you haven't had enough. You clearly haven't had enough. There's nothing wrong with that, right? If you want to be that kind of guy, that's fine. But I'm telling you, if you're not having enough, the fastest route to enough is learn to just be friends. Get your shit under control. Because if you cut down every single tree that grows from the seeds you plant, you will never have a forest. Let the forest grow, idiot. Let's get 6 trees going, just 6. And the seeds from those trees will guarantee you as much as you want. And then if you really want to cut down those trees later on when you got the skills, sure. And between you and I did. Once I got what I wanted, I went back and I got those ones. So yes, you can. But the point is, it's like when someone says just be friends, what we mean is actually have friends. Like actually have some women that you're not ruining it by putting your penis inside them. Because women do want friends that are guys. And for them to have a guy that's a friend that they can trust and they can rely on, they will tell women you're a good guy. And now you can be male and strong and a provider and a protector. And she will say, yeah, this guy's good. You got a good one. You should date him. And that reference from that woman is everything you need. You don't even need to game. You can just be yourself, and the woman is going to do the work for you.
Do you find like these women that are friends start developing feelings for you? And
absolutely, that's when the attraction. Yeah. That's the whole point. The point is because I'm saying no, they're saying yes, and I keep saying no. So now they fight because they want to know, why can't they get you? You'll go with other women, but not them. And they're, what's wrong with me? Why not me? And I'm like, you're like a sister, and they hate it. That's the whole point. We're using the fact that men and women can't be friends, but we're forcing them to be friends. That's your only option. You have to be.
I like that because it kind of puts you. I mean, it
puts you as the prize.
Well, it does, and it's like it's forcing you into the abundance mindset, right?
And that's the first model. That's the whole point.
Right.
Step one.
Yeah.
Step one. Get your abundance in place.
I love that. So, I'm curious. I've been learning a lot about the masculine feminine polarity. One of my clients coaches kind of the trauma-informed coaching, helping men and women be in polarity. And there's a lot of like the boss babes out there that like I was attracting a lot of like the masculine forward women, like the CEOs, the leaders, management, very kind of driven. And they would complain about like, I can't find a guy like that actually that she's forced to wear the pants and she can't turn it off. Mm-hmm. Like, I'm curious on how you're able to do that with an amazing woman like Eve, who you shared a lot of her success. And I mean, you have your own success too, but what is that dynamic like, and how can men live in this world where there's so many women who have like pushed forward and done just awesome stuff, you know, but they just can't find a dude to compliment them? And what can men control in this scenario?
I have an advantage because I've slept with a lot of professional dominatrixes. I like I said, I went on a mission. I've dated everyone, porn stars, you know, pro doms, OnlyFans girls, you name it. If someone said you can't date them, models, actresses, celebrities, if you said you can't do it, I dated them to prove a point. And so I've slept with 3 pro doms who all charge $1,000 a session. And I made it a point to like be able to attract these women.
Interesting.
And all of them, without a doubt, in their everyday life are submissive and want looking after. And all of them, without a doubt, in the bedroom are strong, confident, powerful women. But what they want to be is strong, confident, powerful women out of the bedroom and have a man take control of them in the bedroom. Every single one of them, when I started dating them, became submissive to me in the bedroom and then became more confident about growing their business during the day. And when you talk to them, you learn that all their clientele are rich, powerful, strong, successful men who want to be mummied, tied up, looked after, told they're doing a good job and they're a good boy and in the bedroom. The power dynamic, and we can look at psychology for this, the power dynamic is almost always the same. Those with road rage are often those who in their real life have no control. So road rage is a manifestation of I have no control of my real life, so I will control my car and everyone around me. Whereas someone like me, who all day, every day in my business controls everything around me, when I'm in a car, I'm always like, yeah, go buddy. It's okay. Yeah, don't worry about it. I'm not in a rush to go here. It doesn't matter if I'm late. You know, I'm that guy. You guys will hate me. I'm like, no, of course. And everyone's like, yeah, just let somebody in. I was like, I'm being polite. You know, and the reason I'm saying that is that's the mindset. These strong, confident, powerful women want a dominant man in the bedroom. The women I know who have the best relationships with men when they're strong, powerful CEOs are dating like carpenters. A guy who, you know, gets by okay financially, you know, kind of can look after himself. He's man of the land. He fixes the house and there's a problem. And she doesn't know anything about carpentry and she doesn't care about it. But when her sink's broken, she calls him and he says, I'm a carpenter, not a plumber. And she goes, just fix it. And he goes, I'll work it out. And he fixes it. And he's got, you know, rough hands. and she talks about big, powerful CEO stuff. And he turns up at the dinner and he says, "I feel uncomfortable in a suit." And she's like, "You look great." And he goes, "I fucking hate it." Like, and he's that kind of guy. And then in the bedroom, he bends her over and he's like, "Listen, woman, you're mine." And she loves it. That's what those women want. Now, you don't have to be a carpenter to be like that around the woman, to let her be strong and powerful in her meetings and don't talk over her and, be the ear that will listen to her. And then when you go home in the bedroom, tell her to get dressed up, put your lingerie on, put your feet together, assume the position. You have a spanking because you didn't give me enough attention during that dinner time. And I was like, there are no butts in this bedroom except yours, and it's getting punished. Now bend over. That's what they want. Give them that, and you've got them. So how do you have a relationship with a strong, powerful woman? Well, I may not have given you some insight into my bedroom activities.
See, I mean, that's super interesting to me because after I got out of the divorce and started getting into some physical relationships and having sex and that kind of stuff, to where, growing up, like, you got to be this nice guy. You treat women nice, and you're kind and gentle, but it was like this giant slap in the face when I was in my late 30s, where women just, like, the more you pick them up and throw them around in a gentle way, in a way that is pleasurable, not painful.
Yep.
It was like, they're like, "I love that." And it was like so foreign to me in the beginning. I was like, wait, you like that? Like a little bit of pain? And it was fascinating to me. Where it's like, holy crap, I've been doing this wrong the whole damn time.
They want to be treated like a lady on the streets and a freak in the sheets. Right? That's what they all want, right? Every single one of them. Like, you just have to look at, like, every guy wants his mom and every woman wants her dad. They don't mean actually. What they mean is every guy's first impression of a woman that loves him is one that looks after him, cares for him, does chores for him, showers him in physical affection, gives him hugs and kisses, and tells him everything's going to be all right. That's what every guy wants. Mm-hmm. And every woman wants a guy who will, make sure she's okay, kiss her boo-boos better, pick her up, throw her around, right? Like, that's my daughter every day. "Daddy, pick me up. Daddy, I got a 4-year-old. Right. Daddy, pick me up. Daddy, do this." And, like, my daughter has just started throwing fits at the age of 4. And this morning was the day that she decided to throw a fit with me. And obviously, because I know everything about dating, I was like, this is fascinating. She just threw herself to the ground. And I just looked at her and I was like, "I am not going to talk to you until you stand up straight." And she's like, "I don't want to stand up straight." I was like, "Okay, well, you're grounded until you stand up straight and come and talk to me." And I just walked off. And she went, Dad, I'm talking to you." I was like, "I can't even have a discussion with you until you calm down, stand up straight, and apologize." And this lasted like 45 minutes. Just ignored her. Just kept doing it. And she was, "I hate that you're ignoring me." Didn't matter. Got nothing, I'm not going to entertain this. And then she went, "Dad, I got something to say." I was like, "What's that?" And she goes, "I'm really sorry." I was like, "You standing up straight and you calm, you ready to discuss?" And she goes, "Yes, I am." I was like, "Okay." And then we sat down. And that solved it. I guarantee you, one day, when she's in her 30s, 20s maybe, she's going to have a bad day and throw all her toys out the pram. And I don't know what'll set it off, but something will happen. My daughter's got fiery personality. She takes after her dad, and she will lose her shit with somebody. And if that person makes the mistake of trying to do anything other than saying to her, "I want to have this discussion with you, but only once you've calmed down. We can pick this back up when you're ready. And, I'm willing to apologize or fix it, but not while you're like this." Any other reaction is going to end up with physical violence, I suspect. And that's from my daughter swinging first. Yeah. Because she can. She knows how to fight. And she will know how to fight.
It's such a microcosm of how to kind of control your own frame and set your own expectations and holding her accountable and really kind of calling her on her shit.
Right.
To where it's like, you're throwing a tantrum right now and I'm not going to allow it. And until you calm down, I'm going to go somewhere else.
I had a moment, my fiance, a year and a half ago, I suppose, maybe a year ago, she lost her temper with me and she shouted at me. And I wasn't wrong, but at the time she didn't know that. And my instant reaction wasn't to shout. I was just like, "You've never raised your voice at me. We're 9 years into our relationship. Today's not the day that you start. When you're ready to have a real discussion," exactly the same way I speak to my daughter. Mm-hmm. And she instantly was like, "I'm sorry." First thing she said. And I was like, "That's okay. Obviously I've upset you. Can we look into it and see what's wrong? Like, I want to help." And that
Right.
was it. That was the end of. That's the only big screaming match we've had. And it was one sided. Like it just went one way, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And there was another situation with a friend of ours, and her and him, like they're a married couple, and me and the guy's wife are kind of civil, but those two, like her and the husband, they kind of like mess with each other and fuck with each other, not sexually, but like play pranks and stuff.
Right.
And so apparently he was having a business meeting and she pushed his arm. He was leaning on something and nearly fell over, and she thought it was hysterical. And so later on, he tripped her up and she actually fell over, and she lost her shit at the guy, like went ape shit. And I didn't react. I just like let it go. And then the guy kept on, and she's like, "You're not going to say anything?" And I was like, "Nah, you two are always fucking around." And 2 days later, she like laid into me like, "I can't believe you didn't stick up for me," blah 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 blah. And I was like, "Did you want me to lay into you when you pushed that guy off the fucking when he was leaning on his arm as well?" And she goes, "Well, no, I was just fucking with him." I was like, "I'm pretty sure he thinks he was just fucking with you too." I was like, "But a woman touching another man in front of her fiance is also a problem. Like, do you want me to lose it?" I was like, "You want me to lose it in every situation?" I was like, "What I did was I carefully calibrated what was going on." I was like, "But let's solve it right now. I'll phone the guy up and I'll tell him what I think of him." So I phoned him up. And she's like, "Right there, shut down." I was like, "No, I'll do it now. I'm not scared of anyone." And so I phoned him up. I was like, "Listen, I just had a couple of days to process this." I was like, "I'm pretty pissed that you tripped my wife up." And he's like, "Look, I'm really sorry, but she really upset me. I was in the middle of doing a multi-million-dollar negotiation, and she tripped me up and made me look really stupid." And suddenly my wife's like, "Oh, fuck." And so he's like, "Look, I'll apologize. I'm sorry." I was like, "It's okay." I was like, just, as a guy, we don't necessarily need to retaliate, And he's like, "Yeah, you're right. You're right. You're right." I was like, "I wouldn't do that. And then she turned around and she goes, "Fuck." I was like, "Can you imagine if I'd have lost it with him there and then in front of," because she was in a negotiation as well. I was like, "How bad would we have looked when he turned around and said that you did that to him earlier?" I was like, "What would have made you look worse?" And she goes, "Yeah, you got a point." And I was like, "Look, I had to calculate a lot in a fraction of a moment, and I decided the best thing to do was to de-escalate the situation. That was the masculine thing to do, not to get aggressive and protect you." I was like, ultimately, if you're big enough and tough enough to start a fight, you're gonna have to finish it. And I was like, I weighed it up. Yeah, you tripped, but it wasn't that bad. You didn't get hurt. You're okay. It was an ego bruise, not a physical bruise. I was like, but we can have a simple rule. Either you don't get to fuck with anybody, or when you fuck with somebody, if they fuck with you back, you'll take it yourself. I was like, and that's how it's gonna go. And that's what guys don't get about being a protector. It's not just protecting her from other people, it's also protecting her from herself.
Hmm.
Being dad, which is what it comes down to, because that's what every woman's looking for. They want a dad. And the dad doesn't step in and be like, "You touch my daughter, this, that." The dad looks at it and says, "Nah, you did that yourself." I say that to my daughter all the time. I'm like, "You pushed your brother first. He hit you back. Tough shit. Like, don't push him." Like, if you don't want to get hit, don't push him. I was like, if he hits you first, and you can hit him back. I was like, but if you hit him first, expect to get hit.
Right? Yeah. I mean, it's fair. I got 3 girls myself, so teaching them those sort of techniques, and it's interesting to where, if you're raising 3 daughters, it's like, okay, well, they're probably going to be attracted to a version of me, so me becoming a man who is in abundance, confident, and I guess knows how to escalate, but I'm not sure how that looks from a parenting standpoint, but the first 2 is certainly relevant. Is something that I strive to become every single day, and keep becoming. And that was one of the reasons I went through divorce, was because I couldn't show them a relationship that I would want them to have someday, and I was living in a scarcity mindset in my marriage, and was only reason why I didn't end it 5 years earlier was because I was scared of being alone. And it was a mutual divorce, and she didn't want to be with me either. But, it just took me having a hard conversation, and that what started everything, So, all right, well, we're coming down to about the last 10 minutes here, and there's a few questions I like to ask every single one of the guests. The new question is, what does it mean to be a man to you?
I think that we live in an age right now where, I'm going to be very careful about how I say this, because I'm aware that there are some people that like holding on to the past. So as a dating coach, I've lived through people saying, I'm not going to get a cell phone. If someone needs me, I got a landline in my office, they can reach me. It was the very beginning of when I taught dating. Now it's ridiculous. Everyone's got a cell phone, but the iPhone wasn't around when I first started teaching. Then I'm not going to get social media. I don't need social media. Social media is not what men do. If a woman needs me, she got my phone. Then it's, I'm not gonna do online dating. And there's all these different things that people said they were not gonna do. The new one is embracing this gender thing, like men, women, like this new one. In schools right now, and I know this because I have kids. My kids are homeschooled, so it's a bit different. But in schools right now, they're actively teaching kids to define what gender is for themselves. And whether you like that it's happening or not is irrelevant. It is happening. So I want to answer this question with that being the background. And I want to challenge you as a guy to, for the first time ever, rather than resisting change, realizing this is an opportunity for you to define who you are. And I don't mean your sexuality. I mean, what kind of a man do you want to be? And it's okay for you to decide what that means. You don't need to listen to some guy off the internet telling you that that's what a man is. You don't. You can just be who you want to be, providing you're someone that tries to leave others better off than you found them, try and protect people, care about them, provide for them if you can, but always put your mask on first. It's the airplane thing. No point putting a mask on someone else if you can't put yourself. No point trying to feed someone if you can't. If you can't buy yourself the nice car, don't buy a girl a nice car, right? Like, just look after yourself first, make sure you're okay. And to me, these concepts just make you a good person. Does that mean what it means to be a man? I don't know. Maybe somebody else should answer it. But I don't like the idea of anyone telling me who I should be. I like the process of figuring out who I'm supposed to be myself. So if, rather than resisting what's going on around the world, because it's the new generation that get to decide. It's not us. I'm Generation X. I saw the millennials and I resisted them, and now we're on Gen Z. And I like Gen Z. I've spent some time reading quotes from Gen Z, and I like them. The young ones, they're good. But some of their ideas are a bit different. They have these ideas about not owning anything. They like the idea of not just minimalism, not owning anything, just renting and moving and being free. It's a unique concept to a Gen Xer, but it's not completely unreal because Gen X is despondent. We're like, yeah, whatever, we don't care. And I kind of went to that attitude on this whole gender thing. I was like, I don't care anymore. Like, call yourself whatever you want. It doesn't matter to me. I'm a guy, and that's what I do. And you can do whatever you want. And I found that when I adopt that Gen X attitude of I just don't care, and I hang out with Gen Zers who really care that they are very, very unique, and I just think of it, if a Gen Zer tells me that, that their gender is, Blue Thursday, and I'm just like, all right, I think of it like another name. I'm like, all right, you're Blue Thursday. Great. And I don't stress about it. I'm like, I've clearly met someone who wants to be called Blue Thursday, and so that's who they are, and that's fine. Like, I'm not going to stress about it, and I'm not going to try and impose that on them any more than I would try and impose a religion on somebody, or any more that I would expect or appreciate anybody trying to fight me on my religion. I don't have an argument with me about mine. I don't want to have an argument with you about yours. You do you, right. I'll do me. And so, in a really roundabout way to answer that question, I'm going to say, to me, being a man is letting men be who they want to be, providing you're not hurting other people, you're leaving people better off than you found them, and you're doing a good job, and you're happy, right?
Like that. Like that.
Thanks.
Another question I'd like to ask is more assigning some homework. So put your professor hat on.
Gotcha.
And I'm a big believer in quick wins. Because I think that a guy, if I think about myself 10 years ago, looking at a guy like you, the distance of expertise is just so far. And it's so hard to close the gap, and it's really easy to position yourself as like, he's just that. I mean, he's got an accent. He's born different. I'm me. It's really easy to put yourself that way because I was that guy, and that's okay. But what I'm curious is, what would you give a man maybe like that who is stuck in the scarcity mindset, kind of the opposite of the ace mentality, maybe? Some little homework over the next 7 days where we can want to get you a quick win on one of these. Let's say pick abundance, confidence, or escalate.
So,
and what's the homework you could give to them?
For me, it's real simple. Our website, aceformula.com, if you go there and scroll down, there are 3 videos: step 1, step 2, step 3, and then there's a Facebook group, step 4. I would recommend your 7 days very easily. Just watch 1 video a day. Just let it sink in a bit. Just enjoy the thoughts. Join the Facebook group, say hello. And we post every day. There'll be somebody in there and they're there to help. And if you want more help than that, go for it. If you want to just action what you learned in the videos, great. We don't charge for those videos on purpose because we want people to be able to have some free stuff and give it a go. And if it isn't working well enough for you because you want more of a hands-on approach, that's the time that we would charge because, all right, well then, let us get involved. But if it's not taking time from us, you can just have the videos and you can learn how to do it. So that's what I would say. Like, go get that knowledge, because if you'd have already done it, you'd have already done it. If you're not doing it, it's because something hasn't clicked in your head. Like, I used the example about the gender thing a moment ago. Not every guy is going to be able to hear what I said and realize really what I'm saying is, you do you, I'll do me. Which is the correct answer for almost everything in life, right? If you want to eat steak and I don't want to eat steak, you do you, I'll do me. You order what you want, I'll order what I want. That shouldn't be a problem for anyone. Anyone's like, nah, you're gonna eat the steak. There's a problem. There's a huge problem there, right? And likewise, if you really want to eat steak, if I turn to you and go, you can't eat steak because for hundreds of years we never have. Now you can't, you're changing it, I don't like it. No, let them eat steak. Same kind of thing. These videos are designed to just get you to think different. You don't need to do anything. Just entertain the idea that you could think different. And then if you can figure it out yourself, go for it. I definitely did. And then if you can't and you want help, you can hire someone to help, which is what I ended up doing when I wanted to speed things up.
Gotcha. And if men want to follow you, what's your favorite social place right now where you're putting them forth the most effort? Is that Instagram,
I don't
TikTok,
have
YouTube?
A dating place on purpose because there's too many voices trying to make a name for themselves and they be controversial for the sake of it. And I'd rather talk about business than dating. But if you want to follow me as a person, it's at the Adam Lyons on almost any platform: Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, usually best. But for dating, just go to aceformula.com. We've got a contact us page. You can talk. Like, most people want their dating stuff to be private anyway. Let's keep it private. We don't need doesn't need to be lots of people. You can fill in the contact us page and go from there.
Awesome. Well, man, I really appreciate and honor you for the investment you've put into yourself and the value that you can add into the world, and the testament to, that abundance mindset to where it's like, what, I probably could charge $1,000 a month for what these videos we give away for free. I don't need it, and in fact, the good that you can do in the world by allowing access to that. I hope men take action and take advantage of that, because there's probably a whole library in your town. You could go get an MBA, but you're not going to do it unless you pay money to a college to get it, So let's not do that. Let's go get this free information that Adam probably could charge, $5-10 grand for, I don't know. And start getting action in your life in more ways than one,
Yeah, that's exactly it. So, dude, thank you so much for having me.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Adam.
Appreciate it. Thanks, Andrew.
Thank you for listening to this episode of the Resisting Beta podcast. Here's where I need your help. I'd love for you to give us a review on your favorite podcast player. Also, follow us on TikTok and Instagram, and share this message out to a man that needs to hear it, because that's how we impact this world. Thank you very much. Make it a great day, men.